Your business laptop? Boom. Upgraded permanently. Your battery life? Boom. How does 8 hours sound? What about 12? And that whole thin and light laptop plus gaming experience? Boom. It's a renaissance of possibilities. This is our ultimate guide to Meteor Lake or Intel's Core Ultra laptops. And with this video, we're gonna tell you everything you need to know before buying a new Meteor Lake laptop right here, right now at Robeytech. But first, a message from our sponsors. If you've just built or upgraded your PC and now that Windows watermark just saying activate Windows is just sitting in your face, don't panic. VIP-CDKdeals.com is here to help. VIP-CDK Deals offers legitimate software activation keys at a fraction of the retail price. We're talking deep discounts on Windows 10 and 11, Home and Pro versions, plus Microsoft Office, Steam keys, and so much more. You can even use code RBCK at checkout for an additional 30% off. Check out VIP-CDKdeals.com today and get back to enjoying your PC without that watermark. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Robey, you're lying. You're delusional. You must have an imbalance of humors. I promise you, none of those things are true, and that my humor is always perfectly balanced, and so are my segues. Because balance is exactly what Intel has delivered with Meteor Lake or Core Ultra laptops. Now, if you've been around the channel, we've talked about Meteor Lake a bunch, and we've even done a few in-depth reviews of a couple of these Core Ultra laptops. What we want to do with this video is give you kind of everything you need to know in case you're looking for your next thin and light laptop that's not just necessarily business focused. So it's been a minute since you've thought about Meteor Lake, or in case you're new to this and this is the first time hearing about it, let's start with the basics. What is Meteor Lake or Core Ultra, and what makes it so special? For starters, Meteor Lake is the code name for Intel's first generation Core Ultra processors. It's a new CPU architecture that they're calling a 3D performance hybrid architecture. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Did Intel just copy AMD's homework? No, this isn't the same as AMD's 3D V-cache, but you may have heard some terms that AMD uses like chiplet or microarchitecture as we talk about these chips. What Intel has done with their new Core Ultra processors is created a multi-chiplet or multi-tile design. On one tile, they have their performance or P cores and their efficiency or E cores, which a lot of you have probably heard of. On another though, and this is what's new, is they have two low-powered E cores. It's also got a media engine, display, and neural processing unit or NPU to help you with those new AI-enabled workloads. On yet another one of the tiles, they have controllers for PCI Gen 5 and Thunderbolt 4. And on the final tile, and one of the things that we're most excited to see, Intel has integrated their new Xe graphics cores onto their chip. These graphics cores are from the same architecture powering Intel's Arc GPUs, more specifically Alchemist, which just keeps getting better and better with driver support. So, what does this all mean? Because of this multi-tile design, the CPU is segregated, allowing the system to intelligently shut off power to portions of the CPU when they aren't needed. For example, if you're using high-performance P cores for gaming or video editing, Meteor Lake knows that it's going to want to keep that tile powered on. However, let's say you've closed out those applications, but you want to catch up on the latest reviews right here at Robeytech. You've slapped that subscribe button, whipped that like button, and you've rung that notification bell so you don't miss moments just like these. Well, at that point, the SoC tile, or as Intel likes to call it, the low-powered island, will take over, and in theory, this is all going to save battery life. And you'll see later in proof, it actually does. This is an oversimplistic way of looking at Intel's new microarchitecture, but we wanted to give you a baseline description as we talk about a few different laptops that are featuring these chips. Which brings us to another question. How do you know whether or not a laptop is using Meteor Lake CPU? In other words, which Intel inside is inside these things? That was a bad pun on their marketing, but it's a great question, especially considering that Intel is still making high-powered mobile chips. The good news is that Intel has made it via a badge, which is how you distinguish between these two. For processors like the 14900HX, you'll see a light blue badge, or you could say that it's Cerulean blue, if you want to get more specific. The badge says Intel Core along with the CPU's tier designation. So in this case, you'll see i9 in the lower right-hand corner. Now for Meteor Lake processors and on the forthcoming Lunar Lake ones, which we assume there hasn't been an official announcement, Intel has a dark navy blue badge that says Intel Core Ultra, along with its tier designation. So in the case of like the Asus Zephyrus G16, here, which has the Intel Core Ultra 9 185H. You'd see that little 9 down there in the right-hand corner of the badge, knowing that this is a Core Ultra 9. So now that we know a bit more about Meteor Lake, let's take a look at a few of the laptops powered by these new Core Ultra CPUs and talk a bit about which laptop is right for which kind of users. Because let me tell you, where low-powered CPUs of the past were kind of one-trick ponies, these CPUs are more like multi-class Red Mage style RPG characters. They're actually capable of a lot. Now we have 4 laptops in total that we're going to be looking at that you're going to see a thread running through them, from boosted business laptop to the ultimate thin and light mobile gaming platform and so much more. So let's start at the place where we first introduced Meteor Lake to you guys, and that is the MSI Prestige G16 AI EVO. This laptop is the very definition of thin and light at 3.31 pounds. The MSI Prestige G16 AI EVO, as the name implies, has Intel's EVO certification, which you can see a whole video about that right here, and it's awesome. You should definitely check that out. It also has things like Wi-Fi 7 built in, so if you need the latest wireless technology, MSI has absolutely got you covered. What also makes this model of the Prestige stand out is that it doesn't have a discrete GPU. You're like, what? Integrated graphics? That's garbage. Whoa, hold on. This thing is powered by Meteor Lake alone. But let me tell you, it was amazing in our productivity tests, and even in gaming. I know, that's gonna blow your mind. Even more impressive is the fact that we got nearly 13 hours, or more specifically 12 hours and 54 minutes to be exact, of battery life in UL Procion's Office Productivity Battery Life Benchmark. As for gaming, which is typically something we don't talk about with a productivity laptop, the integrated Intel Arc graphics cores have enough power to run modern titles like Assassin's Creed Mirage. You could do Cyberpunk 2077. If that's baking your noodle to think about modern games running in integrated graphics, remember, this is the same processor at the heart of the MSI Claw. And we also have the special power of XE super sampling, which is powered by Intel Arc, which is absolutely awesome as well. So these things are punching above their weight class. Now, are you going to be pushing high frame rates with the most graphically intense titles? No, but the possibilities are far more open than they've ever been with a business laptop. At the time of recording this video, MSI had an updated version of the Prestige G16 AI EVO with a UHD Plus OLED display. This laptop had a starting price of $1,600, but you can still find this version right here with a QHD Plus display for around $1,300. So with the MSI Prestige G16 AI EVO, you have a power-efficient office productivity laptop that can go the distance on its battery, thanks to, of course, Intel Arc, but it can handle productivity and gaming, making it a venerable jack of all trades. Next up, we're going to talk about the smallest of the bunch here, and this is the HP Omen Transcend 014 laptop. But don't let the size fool you. This thing hides some surprises despite its pint-sized frame. For CPU options, the 014 has the option of choosing either the Intel Core Ultra 7155H, like we saw in the MSI laptop, or the beefier Core Ultra 9 185H. For GPU, the Omen 14 Transcend has options for discrete GPUs, starting with the NVIDIA RTX 4050. There are also some models with the 4060, like the one we have right here, and with the 4070 mobile GPU. But here are the features that set this laptop apart. The RAM in the HP Omen 14 is soldered to the motherboard itself, which isn't amazing for upgradability, but it is for speed. The DDR5 RAM is rated at 7467 megatransfers, which is really fast by today's standards, and Meteor Lake loves zippy fast memory. But the thing that really makes this laptop shine is the display, and let me tell you, this thing is stunning. First off, it's OLED, which we absolutely love. But secondly, the resolution is higher than what we've seen in other laptop displays. Rather than sticking at 1600p that we've typically seen in modern laptops, the Omen 14 bumps things up to an ever so slightly 1800p, all while keeping the same 16:10 aspect ratio. This combination of OLED and higher resolution is amazing for people using their laptops to do any kind of graphic design or photo editing work, given what it can do in terms of color correction, etc. Plus, the extra portable size means that you have the freedom to work in places that inspire you the most. Now, the trade-off here is with this bump in resolution is the gaming on the Omen is going to be a bit more taxing. Now, the model we tested was equipped with an RTX 4060 mobile, and what we learned is that if you're willing to sacrifice a few visual settings, you can definitely cross the 60 frame per second threshold in a lot of games. Even at this configuration, we saw 62 frames per second in Forza Horizon 5, 64 frames per second in Modern Warfare 3 at extreme settings, and 98 in competitive settings. We even saw 206.3 frames per second in Fortnite, while we only saw 21.46 frames per second in Cyberpunk 2077. 2077 at Ray Tracing Ultra, understanding this laptop is no slouch in its current configuration. In other words, you can go down to medium and you can get that above 60 probably very easily. The more impressive thing here is that even with a low-powered discrete GPU, we were able to get 9 hours of battery life in our battery benchmarks. For comparison, we looked at the battery life of a competitive 14-inch laptop, the Razer Blade 14. The Omen 14 Transcended had an extra hour of battery life over it, and at $500 or more price difference. Now, the HP Omen Transcend has a starting price of $1,600, but we've seen these on sale as low as $1,200 versus the $1,700, $2,100 Razer Blade. Just saying. Now, if you want a Core Ultra laptop with more of a game-centric focus, Alienware has some options for you with the Alienware M16 R2. We're talking about RGB, a high refresh rate display, and a discrete GPU. With a starting price of $1,550, the Alienware M16 R2 has a number of options to push Meteor Lake gaming potential forward. The Omen 14 and the M16 R2 are available with either the Core Ultra 7 155H or the Core Ultra 9 185H processor. GPU options are also the same here. You got the 4050, the 4060, or the 4070 mobile GPU. Where the Alienware M16 R2 really sets itself apart is the level of customization you can have over it with these GPU and CPU options, as well as the different configurations for the amount of RAM and storage you like in your laptop. This laptop is also fairly simple to get inside of, so in case you want to upgrade your RAM or add extra storage after its initial configuration. Now, the Alienware M16 R2 really showcases the versatility of the Meteor Lake laptop, especially when it comes to gaming. In this model, we have the Core Ultra 7 155H paired with an RTX 4070 mobile, and we were getting awesome frame rates from this laptop. 69 frames per second in Cyberpunk with ray tracing crank, 103 in Forza Horizon 5, 113 in Modern Warfare 3's campaign mode, and all of that on Alienware's M16 R2's native resolution of QHD+ or 1600p. What we love about this configuration is that the refresh rate, the resolution, and the aspect ratio are in balance with the GPU and the CPU. We talk about this in more depth and detail in our laptop buyer guide, which you can watch right here. Now, you're probably wondering, there's gotta be a trade-off, right? Well, really, the big trade-off here is that this isn't exactly a thin and light laptop at 5.75 pounds or 2.61 kilograms. Now, as for battery life though, and this is what's impressive, is that we had 7 hours of battery life using UL Procion's battery life benchmark test. Now, for comparison, a desktop replacement style laptop like the ROG EVO 15S was only able to get around 2 hours and 40 minutes. Overall, what we saw with Alienware's Meteor Lake offering is this laptop pushed more power to the CPU and GPU, pushing the gaming performance forward while still functioning very well in work-related tasks. If gaming is your primary use for a laptop, this isn't your dad's Dell. Now, this one was kind of a late entry into our Meteor Lake roundup, and I know you're probably like, where is it, Robey? Oh, it's beautiful. This is the Asus ROG Zephyrus G16, and this thing takes Meteor Lake to the pinnacle of thin and light experience. While it's not quite as light as the MSI Prestige at 3.31 pounds or 1.5 kilograms, the Zephyrus G16 is only a pound more and it's 0.06 inches thinner. This laptop comes standards with the Intel Core Ultra 9 185H and your choice of either an RTX 4080 or RTX 4090 mobile GPU, which none of these have. Like the HP Omen though, the Zephyrus 32 gigs of memory is actually soldered directly to the motherboard, giving it a speed of 7,467 megatransfers per second, which is fast. We were blown away by the display on this thing. It's QHD+, it's OLED, and it's 240 Hertz. As an added bonus, which this is unrelated to the display, but we were blown away by the soundscape, which is Dolby Atmos. But above all that, we got a crash course in what this laptop was capable of when we were at Computex. After some really bad luck, 2 dead PCs, 1 dead laptop, Asus came in clutch by letting us borrow a Zephyrus G16 like this one. And it ran all of our live streams while we were there. Understand that during our live streams, this thing ran everything. Camera inputs, audio, video encoding, all off of, and this is the critical part, off of battery. I'm not talking about a quick 30-minute stream. I'm talking about 2+ hours plus setups of build a plane while we're flying it, strap into a cart because it's time to go to work. If you watch our live stream with NVIDIA, all of that was done completely remote off of the Zephyrus G16. It was not plugged in the entire time, even during some of the stuff that we did with setup. And since I had it, you know I needed a game on it. Pushing an RTX 4090 and the Core Ultra 9 185H, I got 2+ hours of gaming per charge while playing both Elden Ring and Homeworld 3 with battery to spare. Now, all of this comes in obviously at a much higher entry point of $28.99 for for the RTX 4080. But like I said, when introducing this one, Asus has really taken the Core Ultra processor and elevated it to kind of the highest of heights. Okay, so we've introduced to you 4 different Meteor Lake laptops and tried to seed a bit of an answer to this question along the way, but it's worth a TLDR style recap to figure out which of these laptops is right for which type of users. Now with the MSI Prestige 16 AI EVO though, let's start there. We have a business focused laptop that can do much more than just spreadsheets. That 12+ hours of battery life is perfect for ensuring that access to an outlet won't stand in your way when you're getting throughout your workday, no matter where your workday takes you. And for us, it takes us all over the place, which is actually why I spent my own money on this laptop. Now with the HP Omen Transcend 14, we have a very small laptop that's perfect for the designer on the go. The HP Omen Transcend 14's display resolution and vibrant color reproduction are a must for photo editors and graphic designers that demand pure accuracy. And thanks to its discrete GPU options, users have that extra power for the creative tools. Okay, let's talk about the Alienware M16 R2. We have an unabashed gaming laptop that puts all the priority on power and customization. With multiple options to choose from with CPUs, GPUs, storage, and RAM, the M16 R2 is the very definition of a multitasker. It's capable of a lot of things, but what it excels at all depends on how you spec it. And finally, the creme de la creme, the Asus ROG Zephyrus G16. Listen, we know this is an expensive laptop. It's a really powerful laptop that provides proof that Meteor Lake isn't the latest Celeron level CPU. So for the Zephyrus G16, this laptop is for the person who can spare no expense because they need everything Meteor Lake has to offer, from a thin and light form factor to high performance on-the-go battery that can reliably fuel demanding components over the course of hours. Now with all that in mind, let's talk about the giant elephant in the room. I know that some of you are probably sitting there thinking, Meteor Lake sounds fine, but what about Intel's new Lunar Lake? Well, that's a great question. We're really excited about Lunar Lake, but according to Intel, we won't be seeing Lunar Lake devices until the holiday season, and maybe even late into the holiday season. And that's a long time away if you need a laptop now. But there is also the lingering question that we have on whether or not we'll see Lunar Lake Core Ultra processors paired with discrete GPUs. With Lunar Lake featuring Intel's next-gen Xe2 cores and their description of Lunar Lake ushering in a thin and light renaissance, we could see a whole new category of laptops. There's also a huge consideration here as well if you're the type of person that needs a lot of RAM in your system. Remember that Lunar Lake's memory will be a part of the CPU itself, which will have some incredible benefits when it comes to speed, but it will be limited in size at either 16 or 32 gigs. So if you're someone who needs to do a lot of system resource heavy work, the Lunar Lake might throw up some yellow or red flags to you. Now we really won't know what to expect until we see Lunar Lake devices announced and until we see how well they perform. So our advice at the time is kind of this. So if you're in need of a laptop now, we strongly recommend looking at Meteor Lake laptops. If, however, a laptop is a non-essential purchase or you're planning to replace your existing laptop within the next year, wait a few months to see what Intel has in store. The worst thing that could happen is that if you pick up a Meteor Lake laptop at a reduced price, and it's a win-win in our book. Now, I do want to pause here for a second because there's a couple things that I do need to mention as well. First and foremost, Lunar Lake and AI. Meteor Lake are not Copilot Plus laptops. So if you're working on AI tasks and you want AI specific stuff, and that's a focus, you may definitely want to wait for Lunar Lake. And then the last thing, which is super important to notice, is you might be saying, well, Robey, what's the difference between something like Core Ultra and your Core i9s? Understand, Meteor Lake does not perform as well as the higher end 14900HX, 13900HX laptops. They don't have the same number of cores, and they are a different kind of category of CPU. So if you're looking at something that you're doing, you want to do heavy video editing or desktop replacement type work, then you're looking at your Core i9s and your more traditional, or the upcoming Arrow Lake refresh, which is supposed to be happening later in the year. Think of these as hybrids. These are true hybrids between thin and lights and gaming. They kind of give you the best of both worlds, but you do have either better thin and lights like your Prestige A16 AI EVO that might be your Lunar Lakes, and then you might have your higher end, just high performing laptops that'll be your Arrow Lakes or your current Core i9s, etc. So something else to think about when you might be like, well, Robey, what about these? All right, now it's time to wrap up this Meteor Lake buyer's guide all up in a bow. So let's recap what we learned. With Meteor Lake, you get to take the worlds of performance and power consciousness and merge them together. They're a bit like rolling a well-rounded D&D character with the right configuration. You can get a laptop that can be good at a lot of things, which is something that was not possible in thin and light or productivity-focused laptops of the past. Will it be great at everything? Probably not, but a strong hybrid might be just what your situation calls for. It's something that can pretty much do anything. So this is where you come in. When you're looking at a laptop for yourself, what do you need for your laptop? If it's battery life that you need, both the HP Omen 14 Transcend and the MSI 16 AI EVO really impressed us with theirs. If you're a digital creator and you need a laptop that can work well on battery while powering a vibrant, colorful display, the added resolution bump and OLED display of laptops like the HP Omen 14 Transcend will serve you well. But if you need a bit more real estate on your display and you are absolutely uncompromising in your need for crisp colors or color accuracy, the Asus ROG Zephyrus G16 has a top-notch display as well, and a lot of extra power to drive your creative applications. And if you're a DaVinci Resolve video editor, this would be perfect with that 4080 or 4090. Now, if you need to be more gaming focused, invest in a laptop with more powerful discrete GPU for QHD Plus or 1600p screens. You're gonna find much more success in laptops with RTX 4070 mobiles or greater. The Alienware M16 R2, the HP Omen Transcend with the 4070, or the Asus ROG Zephyrus G16 has all those options and meet or exceed the threshold. And the soundscape on that Zephyrus, now, if we want to see what Meteor Lake's influence is on high-powered mobile computing like the 14900HX, we're probably going to be waiting a bit. From everything we've heard, it sounds like that's what Intel has in store for their Arrow Lake architecture. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see and test it for ourselves. Ultimately, the right laptop for you can only be decided by you. Now, we want to give a huge shout out to MSI, HP, Alienware, and Asus for letting us check out their Meteor Lake laptops. And if you want to know more about these laptops, you'll find those links down in the description below. But now is the time for you to tell us what you think. What lingering questions do you have about Meteor Lake or Core Ultra laptops? Was there one of these laptops that stood out as a good fit for your needs? We'd love to know all that down in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, why don't you go ahead and slap that subscribe button with that like button and ring that notification bell so that you get a notification each and every time we post a video like this right here on Robeytech. Also, if you have questions about laptops or you want to continue the conversation, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Amazing place to have questions or discuss laptops or what hardware may be right for you. And you know what? You might just make a friend. Also, make sure you follow us on all the other social media platforms. I don't remember which side it's on. At Robeytech, absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for watching this video. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.